right, welcome to another episode of Corner Memoirs of the Service Industry. Guys, as you might see behind me, I'm not in my office. So a little backstory. I took a shot in the dark. I've been trying to get a bunch of guests on the show, and I didn't think my next guest would have any time for me. In fact, I got no business having him on my show. I'm actually pretty shocked, but I came all the way out to their house, and I'm kind of rambling. I'm kind of bearing the lead here a bit. So my guest broke out in a little movie called Van Wilder. He's also one of the stars of probably the seminal service industry movie Waiting. He's a comedic actor from up north. I really have no business having him on the show. I'm kind of excited. I'm like, he's sitting right in front of me. I'm kind of just rambling on here. So I'm just, instead of just making a fool of myself, let's just get into service and let's just get into service, shall we? You're listening to Corner Memoirs of the Service Industry, a podcast set out to document the lives of those who work in service and hospitality. I'm Eric Chopo, and I'll be running the front of the house tonight. I'm a 22-year vet in the bar and restaurant scene and have worked and managed everything from Michelin star restaurants to dive bars and everything in between. I'm sitting down with members of our industry to talk about why they love doing what they do and share some stories along the way. Around every corner is a new story, a new hire, and a new experience. All right. I mean, here we go. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you one of the stars of Waiting, cook number one, Skylar Stone. How we doing, Skylar?
Real funny. That was good. That was good. I was going through it to see if you lied at any point, and you actually on paper didn't tell one lie.
You were in Van Wilder.
Van Wilder was my first role in a movie. I was a featured extra.
Yeah.
In a test taking scene.
In my opinion, you're one of the stars of Waiting.
I'm one of an ensemble of 11. But anyway, and I'm like number 11 of the 11. But the point is,
and we are in your house in Reseda.
You said you said I didn't know if this person would have the time. I don't think you meant because of like any sort of fame that I may have.
No, you're a family guy.
4 kids.
4 kids.
You didn't really, and then you said from up north, so people probably think in Canada. I'm from Michigan.
From Michigan, it's north.
You didn't tell one lie. So you introduced me very well, even though I kind of feel like a piece of shit right now.
No, I love you.
I'm just kidding.
I so for those at home, Skylar Stone and I, we've known each other since 2011.
2011.
Yeah. And we've been talking about having you on the show because of the fact that Waiting is such the quintessential like service industry movie.
Yeah.
The podcast that I do is about the service industry.
If by talking about having me on, I believe I asked you to be on your podcast rather than you ask me, which is very strange considering like you would think you'd want like I'm not Joe Rogan or Chris D'Elia, but I'm an established comedian and like you didn't even ask me. I'm like, hey, hello.
Well, he was on the short list of people.
I saw the short list. Yeah. You had to get that fry cook from Oklahoma on before me.
Well, to be honest, I knew we were going to do this. So right now we're in your house on what's going to be the set of your podcast. And we've been you and I, along with your cousin, we've been putting this together for the past, I'd say most of the pandemic. It feels like because
we've been talking about this a long time.
Because you have kids. We've been slowly kind of piecing this together. So I really did want to wait until you were up and running.
You wanted to waiting? That's why you hired me. Or you didn't hire me. I asked to be on and I'm not getting paid. Anyway, So
the show is about, most of my guests I have on work in the service industry. So, besides the fact you were in this movie, you do have, you did grow up.
I have an extensive service industry resume.
Let's run through your resume.
Yeah, let's go through the credits. Or sorry, the jobs. So you're saying credits, being a big actor and all. Number 11 on the cast list and Waiting. So number 32 on the cast list of Accepted. So listen, the point is, star of movie Housebroken, nobody saw. So what I'm trying to get at is I started my first job wasn't restaurant. That was Mickey's Car Wash, but after I lost the Mickey's, and by the way, when I say lost, I mean I've always been fired from jobs.
Everyone?
I've never quit a job in my life.
All right.
I've been fired from every job I've ever had. You can write that down, take that to the bank.
Just hang your hat on that one.
And you know what? You didn't even blink when I said that. You were like, makes sense. Mostly for not being on time. So there was, I worked at Applebee's.
Sure.
for a month.
What did you do at Applebee's?
I was a waiter, but they
Waiter?
fired me because I would talk to the tables too long.
Okay.
And I was also late all the time. I also got a job at Damon's, the place for ribs.
Okay. Is that the name of the restaurant? The place for
Damon's,
ribs?
the place for ribs. You know what I mean?
Smart.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. So I worked there. That one I kept for a while because I wasn't a waiter. I was a sports director. So you know when you go to like a place with like 20 big screens, and there's some guy that's kind of in charge of that. Well, Damon's kind of saw like the hole in the market where like whenever you go to one of those sports bar places, like there's often the guy that's running it is also a server and he's running around and he'll change it to your game when he can, and then you're gonna miss kickoff.
Yeah.
So they made a dedicated job. I was the entertainment sports director. So I had a microphone, which is great. You know what I mean? A portable mic. I had the ability to give away onion loaves. Okay. If you wanted cheese sticks, I could handle that. All right. I could give those away too. And I gave away prizes to like local businesses. It was a great job. But that was very much service industry because, I was banging waitresses and, running out of food sometimes. You know what I mean? And by banging, I mean having sex.
Oh, good. I was on.
Yeah, I didn't know if you thought maybe like hit them or something. Because some actors, Charlie Sheen.
I didn't know what that Midwest,
I've never hit anybody on
Midwest
Christmas.
slang was or anything. Yeah.
Did you know Charlie Sheen punched his wife on Christmas? I mean, dude,
it's-
you couldn't wait a day?
I know. I mean, it sounds like something you'd make up, but who wouldn't know? Who would know?
I mean, the guy has AIDS. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. But then I worked so I did that job for a while. I was a waiter at another restaurant in Kalamazoo. Those were all Kalamazoo jobs in Michigan. Out here, I only had one waiter job at Westwood Brew Co.
Okay.
But then I did a lot of catering, which is like just celebrity waitering. Right. You know what I mean? Like less tips, higher stress. Cool, because you're like, whoa, George Clooney, he really is as handsome as they say. Like, I'd fuck him, but like.
See, the thing for me, like celebrity catering, and maybe you can speak a little bit about it, is like it just one of the things I've talked about on the show a couple times is definitely this weird classism with waiters and people who come into it, and the fact that like in the first episode I talked about how servers comes from servant. Right. And
I never really thought about that.
And so the original servers in the original restaurants were literally like dignitaries' houses where people would come in. And a lot of things that we do in the restaurant industry, like serve from the right, clear from the left, is from a long table, and they would have a server per person. So they all collectively did it at the same time. So there's always this kind of class issue thing. And I always think of like Hollywood caterers as that modern day equivalent of that, because you're in a room full of celebrity people, but you sure as hell aren't on their fucking level at all.
You're not. And, I use that. Okay, so I should be very clear on something. I did not do a lot of premiere and celebrity catering. I did some. What I did the most of, which I know you'll be like, well, that makes sense, is I faked my way into doing it to get into premieres. Sure. So I had a show, for those of you watching, Eric's aware of, but it's called Con. It was on Comedy Central as a prank show, as you know. And the way I sold that show was filming I booked a big commercial. It paid. I mean, this is back when commercials paid. Yeah. I love when I book a commercial now. I love people like, oh, dude, you get a new house. I'm like, do you know what commercials pay now? Yeah, it's not what you think.
It's all buyouts now.
Yeah, it's not what you think. Yeah. Like 20 years ago, you could book a commercial and you wouldn't need to work for 6 months. It was fantastic. Yeah. That's not the case anymore. There's some voiceovers that exist like that. But anyway, I got this job. I made some money and I shot a pilot. But the thing I did the most, and I was glad I had waiter experience, was I was like, what's the best way to get into a premiere party? Because people would love foot. This is before YouTube. So I know YouTube now, like you're just describing what YouTubers do. They crash things. Okay, that's great, assholes. Yeah. I fucking beat these guys to this. So like
this was like 2000.
This would be 2003.
Yeah.
So like there's no YouTube. Okay. There's barely internet on your phone. Like there certainly isn't smartphones really. Yeah. And so we all got fucking like Nextel, chirp, fucking walkie-talkie, your friend in Pittsburgh.
I miss that still.
Oh, that shit was gold, dude. And so the first one I ever did was Ocean's 11. So I wanted to go to that because I'm like, now if there was ever a party to document, you got it. And it'd be the Ocean's 11 party. Yeah. Look at that fucking cast. They make casts like that all the time now, but
not then.
No, that was ridiculous.
And they're all at their prime too.
At the beyond prime. Yeah. This is Clooney, Damon, and Pitt in their absolute prime. Yeah. And so I'm like, that's going to...
With Julia Roberts, the boot.
Julia Roberts, Andy Garcia, it's the party to be at. Yeah. So this was back when back when the theaters, all the premieres used to be in Westwood. They still kind of are, but they were exclusively in Westwood. And I'm like, I want to get in that. So I watched, I showed up. And I was just like, how can I sneak in? Is there a door that's not being covered? Nope. There's a lot of stars at this event. These are covered. And so, but then I just noticed like, well, the one place where they don't really check anybody too hard is the catering entrance.
Yeah.
Why is that? Oh, because they all look like worker bees and they're wearing the same outfits. I got a catering outfit in my car. I mean, you keep, when you're a broke motherfucker, you're Batman.
Yeah.
Your utility belt, you're ready to be an extra, a waiter. You're ready to fuck. You got condoms. Your car is you go wherever, right?
I think one of my favorite.
By the way, the only lie in that whole story was condoms. I didn't wear any. But go ahead.
I think my favorite con you did, because it wasn't even a con. It just was like gaming the system a little bit. It was smart. Was when you would open up your trunk and you had taped in the back of your trunk all the different.
The fast food cups?
Fast food cups.
Yeah, Carl's Jr., like
so you
McDonald's.
just walk in and get free refills whenever you wanted, because that was their business model. And if you it'd be suspicious if you went in with like a cooler or something. But like, you go in with Carl's Jr. cup, nobody's going to bat an eye.
So it's the same
thing, but with clothes.
Same concept. Like they had, I remember it very specifically. You don't forget the first movie premiere, you crash. Oh, and guess who else was there? Jennifer Aniston. They were dating or married at the time. So I got put on black pants. It was black pants, black shoes, white button up, and a black tie. It was very easy. Had all that with me. It's when you get, sometimes people are like, this one's a bow tie. Fuck, I didn't bring my bow tie. That got complicated. Harry Potter premiere. So what I did was I put the outfit on, just kind of watched the situation. And then I ran in and I remember grabbing a stack of rags and I remember grabbing just a cup of water. That's all I could find. And as I was walking back in, someone just said, did Ted tell you to also help us? And I go, I have not seen Ted in a while, so you're definitely not talking about me. And the guy goes, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I mean, in that moment, you don't go, who's Ted? You're not getting in.
Yeah.
You know Ted.
Yeah.
You and Ted have played golf. You know what I mean? And so, or miniature golf, you're broke. So I go in, and at that point, my main goal is to figure out how to get back out to the catering area and get my backpack. Why? Well, that had my real clothes. I don't want to be a caterer all the time. I want to party at the fuck. I want to get drunk.
Yeah.
I wasn't sober at this point, so I'm down to fuck. Daddy wants to drink with Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? So I'm going around the room. I'm learning it, and then finally I get back out there. And what's funny is like I think you know what I mean. Like there's like a brotherhood amongst servers. There's just So I say that because one guy saw what I was doing. All right, but this guy was cool. It's like one of those movies where the guy escapes from prison and someone has a chance to tell on him, but then they're like, "I wish that was me."
Yeah.
You fly, brother. You know what I mean? Because I go back to the area. I grab my backpack, and in my head, I never had to say it, but in my head, if they asked me what I wanted from my backpack, I was going to say. I was going to tell them that I have to go to the bathroom and get myself an insulin shot.
Yeah.
But I was worried about that one even because the caterers had bathrooms. So why am I going into the party with a backpack? Luckily I wasn't asked, but that was my plan. You have to be ready. So I go in there and I get in the bathroom. I put a nice shirt on. I'll show you. I had a nice shirt and it looked pretty good for being in a backpack because I got a picture with Catherine Zeta-Jones, with Michael Douglas. Mm-hmm. I never got a picture with Brad Pitt. And again, this is 2002, 3. Yeah. Like I'm not at I don't have a credit to my name, so I have no shame. I'm not like none of these people know who I am. Not that Brad Pitt knows who I am now, but I'm just saying like I have nothing to lose. There's no. Is that Skylar Stone asking for a pic? I could just I was a geek with a portable camera.
Yeah.
I had a disposable camera, and so Brad Pitt was eating so much junk. So you know how he is in all the movies. That's how he is in real life. Yeah. He was literally shoving. They brought him a Domino's pizza. Everybody's eating like filet mignon skewers and caprese salads and there's nice food at this place. Brad Pitt's assistant ordered him Domino's and he's eating Domino's out of a fucking pizza box. I'm not making that up. And Jennifer Aniston though meanwhile is eating like a chicken skewer, And by the way, that woman is so fucking hot in person.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, so hot. So I snuck into that and I filmed that experience. I didn't have any hidden camera, so I had to hold up a portable camera once in a while and just get shaky camera. Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch shots, you know what I mean? Found footage.
Like a little bit before, set it up hey, I'm outside this thing, I'm about to go in this. And then pull it out at some point dressed in it while you're back in catering.
Exactly.
And then pull it out when you're
exactly. So I cut that together along with some other ones where we acted like we were the Girls Gone Wild crew on Sunset Strip and got girls to take their tops off and snuck a buddy into Subway dressed as Jared Fogle. This is way before we knew that he was a child toucher or whatever. But we snuck into Subway and said, this is Jared Fogle. They gave us free sandwiches.
Yeah.
And they let him behind the place to make sandwiches, high five people, do autographs. to take pictures. I mean, they like pulled out the red carpet for this guy.
Right.
And so I filmed that, and that became Con. But like, you know, I just love that like the service industry is still a part of my story, not just of my high school and college experience in Kalamazoo, but you know, when I came out here, I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have some fun with it.
Yeah.
But again, real quick, before we move on, that guy that saw me, he saw me with the backpack, and when I came out, I was getting skewers and shit. He goes, I saw you earlier. You were working with us. And I go, he goes, you don't have to say no, you weren't. I'm not going to tell on you, dude. I wish I thought of it. He goes, have fun. So it just felt like that guy, like, be well out there, like Shawshank or some shit. You know what I mean? Like
it's like the slow clap in the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was fine with it. It was fun.
So when did you move out here?
September 16th, 2000.
So 2000. So in the 3 years you're here, it was just mainly odds and ends catering jobs?
Catering jobs, extra work.
Yeah.
I dressed up as a shampoo bottle and handed out coupons on the Santa Monica Pier.
Nice.
In July. A big shampoo bottle outfit, sweating my ass off. That sucked. I was a driver for Cadillac. Cadillac debuted their Escalades and their CTSs back then.
Right.
And so they had a big deal with all these celebrity events for like a big 6-month span. I mean, it was a big campaign to make these cars famous. And that's why you saw every rapper in Escalades and actors in Escalades for a while. Because I picked up Russell Crowe, took him to the Oscars. I picked up Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger, and took him to the Golden Trailer Awards, which is the Oscars for movie previews, which I didn't even know was a thing until I took him. You know, and quick story about Robert Englund. So I picked him up in Laguna Beach, and that was cool because I never really been to a fine dining restaurant. I'm from the Midwest. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of them in the Midwest. It's a very metropolitan experience, right? So like fine dining back there is just, I mean, I'm not even kidding when I say people be like, it was Valentine's Day, dude. Where'd you go? Took her to Outback. I mean, that's Kalamazoo for you. Right, yeah. You know what I mean? So Robert Englund had me, I picked him up in Laguna. Loves to talk. He's a Shakespearean trade actor, and he's very well-spoken. And so, outspoken, and so we got downtown, and he went to the Golden Trailer Awards off like Alvarado or some shit, and then afterwards he goes, Skyler, take me to Pacific Dining Car, and so I grabbed my Thomas Guide, and for those of you that aren't from Los Angeles, before there were iPhones, there was a thing called a Thomas Guide.
The giant binder that you had with every map of every small little block.
It's a map this thick, and you found the street you're going to. It was a D12, page 39. You go to page 39, go D12, and that was your address, and then you had to work backwards through several pages to get to that page of where you needed to drive to. So I pulled it out. He goes, Skyler, nonsense. Thomas Guide, not for this car. He goes, make a left here, make a right on 6. It's be on your left. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. So he told me where to go. We get there, and they all get out of the car, and they just stop, and they're staring at me. I'll never forget this moment. I thought this was so classy of him. Yeah. I've always wanted to be this way with people ever since I saw him be this way with me. He goes, what are you doing? And I go, I'm waiting in the car. He goes, why would you do that? And I go, because I'm your driver tonight. He goes, Skyler, tonight you're my friend. He goes, would you like to have dinner with us? And I was like, yes, I would, Freddy Krueger. So I get out of the car and I go inside. I'm not dressed for Pacific Dining. They're dressed up for a night out, him and his wife, and they brought a girl to his wife's best friend. And so like I'm
just
now
in khakis and a shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm a button up, a polo shirt. I guess it wasn't so bad, but it said Cadillac, like. And so I go inside. He sits me down. At that point in my life, I've been to tons of places like this now, but I've never been to a restaurant where someone put my napkin on my lap for me. Wow. I know that's very not COVID compliant. I apologize. But, back in the day when we could touch each other, this guy practically gave me a hand job. He put a fucking napkin on my lap. And then the guy, Robert England's he's like, let me order. And he just ordered for the whole table. Right. And he gave us so much cool shit. And by the end of it, I was like, I could get used to restaurants like this, dude. And then he tipped me $200.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. It was just, I'm trying to figure out what Robert Englund was doing in the early 2000s where he was balling that way.
That guy.
Just residual money?
His residual. That's a movie that doesn't stop.
Yeah, sure.
Every October, the rest of your life, you have a movie that's being bought by networks and you're the lead. And imagine the terms back then. They'll never give an actor terms like that now, but I promise you, he had like some George Lucas ass terms back when you could just fucking get a piece of the pie.
I think good deals ended with that man behind you, Jack Nicholson. And Batman.
Get a piece of the toys.
He got what 5% of? No, he got 5% of Batman in perpetuity.
Yeah,
not toys, not merchandise. Batman.
Yeah, he's beyond
He owns
set.
5% of Batman. So every movie that comes out, every cartoon.
When I
that
did
comes out,
Housebroken, that movie I made a joke about earlier that nobody saw. So Danny DeVito plays my dad in it, and I wanted Nicholson stories because Nicholson's my absolute idol. And so I just said, what do you got for me, Jack? He goes, Jack, he loves to take care of his friends. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, Batman Returns. He's like, Tim Burton wants me to do the movie, and I want to do it, but I also don't. I'm worried about how it's going to make me look. Like I'm seeing these drawings. They want me in these weird outfits. Like, I think he thought maybe like he was like, I don't want to speak for him. It just felt like maybe he thought it might be made fun of for being, short and, they make me look freakish. Like I think that's where he was going. And so he said, so I called Jack and he goes, do the movie, Danny. Get a piece of the toys. And so that's what he asked for. He asked for a piece of the toys. Yeah. And, Danny DeVito's doing okay too.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pacific Dining Car, first time out.
I'd never been served like that.
Yeah, it's for those who don't know, it's an experience for sure.
Well, you probably do know it by the way out there. Training Day.
It was
that's the movie in Training Day.
Wise Men when he goes to see the three wise men.
Yep, they're at that restaurant.
And they get a baseball steak, which is I've had one. It's gross. I don't know why people like it.
That's not my favorite steak there at all.
No, it's not at all.
No, it's not. Yeah. I mean, you just go filet and lobster tail. That's you don't.
So I was off camera, I was telling you the sad news that it looks like pandemic took down Pacific Dining Car. I'm sure somebody might buy it at some point and save it, but
I know the Santa Monica one is already closed.
Yeah, that one was like an experiment that never really worked.
Yeah,
the downtown one looks like it's also. I know they auctioned off a bunch of equipment, but they said we don't know yet. But again,
it makes me so sad.
It's key lesson: own the land you have your business on, because they don't own that land, and it's a giant empty parking lot and a very tiny restaurant on there, and that land is prime real estate.
Wait, why aren't they just serving in the parking lot?
Well, they are, but that's over now.
So they were doing that.
Well, I don't know if they ever were doing.
I know they're doing takeout.
They were doing a lot of takeout, but here's the thing, though.
It's not a takeout restaurant.
About 3-4 years ago, the wife and I went to Pacific Dining Car, feeling all fancy and gonna drink martinis and grab a steak dinner.
I don't drink anymore, but the dirty martinis there are great.
Yeah. Their prices went up threefold. The last time I went over there.
How long ago was this?
So this was like 3 years ago I went there.
Oh, so they were already trying to make some more money.
They weren't. Their business had fallen off, and because of minimum wage going up, they raised their prices jacked them up. So when I'm talking about raised prices, I'm talking about we split a Caesar salad and split a steak, and each had a cocktail, and it was $84 fucking. And I'm like,
but give that to me again.
So
Caesar salad,
steak,
two cocktails,
cheap steak, the cheapest steak we can get, and then a martini and a Manhattan, which were about $15 a piece, which we knew going.
No apps,
no
sides.
It was
no
like
dessert.
$80 fucking, and it was like $100 and after.
That's not that bad.
But it was bad.
I spent, bro. Do you know?
Don't get me wrong. I've dropped a lot of money, but the point is for not that much money for that little amount.
What's
of
the most you've ever spent on yourself for sushi at lunch?
Oh, $120.
240.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exactly twice. I wasn't trying to do that. That really is the number though with tip.
But for me, I just learned the secret was just go to the all you can eat places
and eat shit sushi
and then you go to the nice ones where it's about like $60, $80 for it, but you sit at the sushi bar and just start chatting with the chefs. And so then when they know you're getting all you can eat, and you just make me whatever you want to make me. And then at that point, you end up getting all the cool shit that isn't on the all you can eat menu for free, because you start having a rapport with them. I've had the best meals of my life doing that. I mean, that's how you should do it anyway.
By the way, do you like eating by yourself?
I don't.
I love it.
I like eating by myself more than I like going to the movies by myself, for sure.
Oh my God, I love to do both right in a row.
I mean,
then come home and fuck my pillow. I mean, a complete lonesome night.
I'm
talking folding corner to corner, and you just fucking,
not couch cushions.
No pillow fuckers here. Right.
Couch cushions, maybe.
I've done that where you get down on your knees and you fuck under the cushion and the couch.
I've been just push the cushions together and just start humping the couch.
Oh, I've done that too. That's the inverted, slide. I've done that one too. What movie is this? Because we were inverted.
Oh, Top Gun.
Yeah.
But you forgot to.
We were inverted. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, side note, because I completely forgot what I was talking about anyways. This pandemic ruined the fact that I have to wait maybe another year for the new Top Gun movie. Because it's supposed to come out Christmas, but that got pushed from summer, and I don't think it was ever coming out at Christmas. No, it it got pushed from summer to Christmas, and then I don't think it's coming out of Christmas anymore.
Well,
and I don't want to watch that on my TV at home. I want to go to that's the movie I want to see in the theater.
They're gonna have to figure out some of these movies. That's one that they're gonna hold on to that one. Tom Cruise will not let that movie come out. I mean, there aren't a lot of actors with the power that Tom Cruise has. I mean, literally,
he's shooting a movie in space.
I don't even think Tom Hanks would have the power that Tom Cruise does.
Tom Cruise has the power to kill somebody and get away with it.
Well, that's because of his religion.
But that's how much power he has.
His experimental, or his joke of his science fiction novel prank that is.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think he can hold that movie out until this is all over with.
Sorry, I'll run. But I'll never work again with Jason Lee.
So that one still digs me that the
what? Oh, that he is.
Yeah.
Never saw that coming. You can watch Mallrats and like you said,
I blame Ethan for that one.
Oh, was he already in?
He was already in.
And then he got him in?
Yeah. Mm. And then the funny thing is Juliette Lewis isn't, and she's tied with that whole family because her sister's dating Ethan. Like it's a weird thing. The fact that normal people can sit down with Scientology people at a dinner table and not shake them until their sense gets back in their head is weird to me.
Well, I have found that, like, if I'm being honest with you, because I've met a few, it's mostly people that, the ones I've met at least, that are experiencing some sort of a mental health crisis of sorts that shaking won't. It's like,
well, also
you need to do a lobotomy to get through to some of these people.
And then a lot of ones like the Danny Mastersons of the world, where his whole family's in it, and if
Danny's another guy. Like I met Danny through his wife. She was in Raising Hope with me, and he was cool as fuck. He's a nice guy. Like, I was surprised to hear he's a Scientologist.
Well, that's because his family is diehard, and if he isn't in the church, he can't see his family. So if he removes himself from the church, they stay in the church, and they have very strict rules about mingling.
Is his sister Mary Stuart Masterson? Someone said that's true.
I don't know. I don't think so.
You remember her?
Yeah.
She's great.
All right, going back to eating alone. I will tell you this.
You ever beat off to fried green tomatoes?
No. That's a weird one to beat off.
And not even like.
But I have beat off to...
you don't like to beat off to
batteries not included.
Segregated Southern movies like that?
No.
Like, oh wow, that's so different from what I've experienced. No,
you just missed my joke of batteries not included.
Wait, what'd you say?
Batteries not included because there's all old people in that movie.
Oh, dude, you never beat off to Cocoon, bro?
It's what's her name is in both movies.
Dude, Cocoon 2, fucking sexiest fucking 4 hours of your life.
Yeah, but that's because of Gutenberg.
No, it's because of Don Amici, dude.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to don his Amici. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway.
Going back to eating alone, what I missed the most, and maybe you can, I don't know, like when you were drinking, if this was the same for you, but I mean, me working in the service industry in the restaurants and working in the high stress from a management point of view and that when the restaurant closes, the bars are still open.
Oh, yeah.
And what I missed right now during all the pandemic, like I love my wife and she feels the same way that I feel, is sitting at a bar alone.
Yeah.
Drinking
after your shift,
bullshitting with the bartender, staring at my phone, ignoring everyone else in that fucking bar, and just nursing a drink for the next hour and a half. I missed the shit out of that.
Yeah, well, first of all, husband and wives, we are not meant to be together 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
there's a reason why, like when you get married, they say like, work as much as you can to save for the future. Like you've got all your twilight years to be just with each other. Yeah. Now's the time not to. So that like by the time that you do that, like you kind of want it because you never did it.
Well, the pandemic for me, that like, and it was just the I hate using the word safe places because it's fucking ruined, but those safe havens that you have as an individual, the gym,
Bro, I have no gym. I have no stand up.
Yeah,
I can't. I can do.
That was your whole thing.
Oh my god, dude, that was my therapy. Yeah. But also, I was going to therapy too, and I was going to psychiatrist. I now no longer go to either because my psychiatrist has an autoimmune disease, and so she does all telephone shit,
which is not the same.
I'm not into it.
In this house doing it,
not into it. And then my therapist went back home to take care of her family, so she offered over the phone, and I said no thanks. Right. So hers was worse. The psychiatrist like, we could do telemedicine where I can see you. The therapist is like, we do it on speaker. I'm like, I'm good. So there's no therapy. There's no psychiatrist. There's no stand up. There's no gym. And dude, you two, Caleb over here, my cousin off screen, and you you two are people that I have seen, I don't know how many midnight movies with.
Yeah.
You know that. You know fanboy culture.
Yeah.
You can fucking release Bill and Ted's on iTunes all day long and have me buy it, and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But it is nothing like going to the fucking Cinerama Dome at midnight and sitting with fellow fucking movie nerds, yelling at the screen, throwing popcorn, go to get a piece of pie afterwards like your Tarantino, and talk about it. You know, it's gone.
I mean, just movies in general is like, you know, you can have the biggest TV in the world. It's not the same as sharing an experience with a bunch of strangers.
Nicole even said, she goes, I understand you want to see action movies. Why do you want to see comedies in theater? I'm like, are you kidding? It's like stand-up. You're laughing with 200 strangers. It's therapeutic. When I saw Analyze This the night it came out, like, it's a funny movie, don't get me wrong. It'll never be as funny as the night I saw it. I've seen it so many times. I laugh, I chuckle, whatever. It's funny. I'm not saying I can make anything better. I'm just saying that night, though, when it came out and you didn't know the jokes coming, and no one knew yet that De Niro could poke such fun at himself, except maybe like, you know, Midnight Run was in King of Comedy. He's done comedy before, but not like this. This was like studio glossy comedy. And it was a turn in his career that kind of led to the Meet the Parents phase of what he's been doing for, you know, and like those moments, 12 Monkeys, the end of the movie, like when he's in the airport, everything's coming true from his dreams and stuff, and all you can hear is all the sound from the movie cuts out. You hear Madeline Stowe screaming, and then you hear the alarm like wah, and like I remember sitting in the theater and looking around, and everybody was dead silent. And I'm like, I'll remember this moment the rest of my life. 200 people in Kalamazoo that don't know each other, shutting the fuck up because Terry Gilliam is a master.
I have one of my favorite. Going to the movies is because I said I don't like going to the movies by myself, which is true because but I would rather see a movie by myself than go and see a movie with somebody who's already seen it. Because I don't care who you are when you say that, like, oh, I'm not going to spoil anything. You tense up before the thing's about to happen, like a millisecond before, and if I'm sitting next to you, I'm going to pick up on that.
Or they'll go, pay attention. I hate that. Pay attention. Oh, so is this a plot beat? Like, let me find it organically myself.
But when I was younger, I went to movies because I was like a kind of alone in an island in high school about going to see movies. And I remember going to see LA Confidential in the theater, and I was the youngest person in that audience by like 25 years. Wow. Everyone was in their 30s and 40s seeing it, and I'm like a 17-year-old. Like by myself, sitting middle center of that movie, watching it, and just like,
great movie.
I mean, that was like, we've talked about it, and we'll talk about it. I think at length on your podcast about those 90s drama movies and how they don't exist anymore. But speaking of movies, let's get into Waiting a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So Waiting came out 2006. You want to fact check this, Caleb?
2003 we shot. No, 2004 we shot it. So it came out in 2005.
5, 6-ish around that time.
5. 5 was like an up and down year. It's like Con came on, but then it was canceled. Lorne Michaels flew me to New York, was going to test me for SNL. I didn't get it. So Waiting came out, and then I broke up with my girlfriend.
5?
Like it was like up, down, up, down, up, down.
So Van Wilder in it, and you're, you know,
I'm a featured extra. I'm barely in it.
You're like blink if you miss it. I remember you had like a line or a reaction.
I'm not even credited. It's on my IMDb, but it says uncredited.
So this was Waiting your first role like in a movie?
First role was Rules of Attraction.
Okay,
Roger Avery's movie. Bret Easton Ellis novel. And I had a bunch of lines, but the scene got cut. And so, but I'm in the movie, like in the way that I'm in Van Wilder. I'm a featured extra, but since I got paid as a day player and I got paid to have lines,
you're credited.
I'm credited, and I also get residuals, and you can still see me. Even if I never told you I'm in it. If you watched it and you know me, you'd be like, well, I think that was Skylar right there. You know, I'm very young me, without the fucking gullet. So then I did Stuck on You, but my lines were cut out of that.
Right.
So I got cut out of my first 2 movies, which was just like, oh my God. And everybody will tell you the same story. Like, did you know that, Kevin Costner got cut from lines from this? Did you know this? Like, everybody loves to bring, and you're like, you can bring me those all day long. This feels terrible.
It still sucks.
Yeah. And it's happened to everybody I know. Everybody I know is like, that's supposed to be my first movie. I was cut out.
My friend has a nice little career going. She's in the new HBO movie, The Flight Attendant. But I remember when she booked Batman versus Superman. And she had a scene with Ben Affleck. The scene is in Metropolis. Superman's fighting Zod. Everything's crumbling down around Bruce Wayne, and she plays a school teacher with a bunch of kids, and school bus is on fire or some shit. And Ben Affleck runs and helps them all, and then she shares a few lines with him. That whole scene got cut, and I just remember that was like.
Well, it seems like her career was saved being cut from that because it's the worst movie ever made.
So
release the Snyder cut.
I'm stoked.
I will watch that. Terrible movie.
And if they keep it in 4:3, it's going to be amazing. But I digress.
Nerd talk. Don't understand. Keep going.
So all right, you got cut up from a few roles. So is Waiting the first or second one?
I would argue, well, there could have been another one before. Oh, I was also cut out of Michael Bay's movie, The Island.
Okay.
Which sucks because nobody believed me that I was Scarlett Johansson's husband in a movie. But I have the paycheck stub and the fucking call sheet to prove it. How did
we not think about that with the intro, that you have that Scarlett Johansson? It's another thing that
he played Scarlett. Oh my God. He was Scarlett Johansson's husband. Which you could have just said that, and then later go in a movie. I meant, damn it, that would have been great. And Alanis Morissette went down on him in a theater. That was Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
Anyway, way to lose most of the audience by Skylar Stone. Old reference, although your audience is probably pretty old. Probably not much.
It's a mixed bag. Yeah. They would get it.
So, wait, if it wasn't my first line that was in a movie, it's the first thing where I was like, I think I'm in something that people are going to remember.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just remember people coming up to me and they especially when I was thinner at airports and everywhere, people just they just go up to me like that. And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Cause they're talking about the scene where I put the dandruff in the food. You know what I mean?
The little salt flakes.
Garlic and then
salt.
People love that line, how about a little guacamole?
Yeah.
And I'm about to spit a bunch of snot onto the food. And Louis Guzman's like, hey, bro, what's wrong with you? And you never mixed Mexican with continental. So
were you doing stand-up at that time? Because the reason I bring it up is that you're paired with Dane Cook.
Yeah.
Who, that was a big breakout role for him.
I was doing stand-up in the way that okay, do you ever have friends that say they're actors and they're out here for a few years and sure they have a headshot maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe they made one fucking internet video, but
they're not really actors.
They don't have an agent.
Yeah.
It's 5 years in and they're full of shit. It's well, what are you doing? I was kind of being that way with comedy. Okay. I was doing a set here or there, but it wasn't at the major clubs.
You weren't living and breathing it.
I was not living. I would go I'd find out about a show at the Western Brew Co. or a Hooters on Hollywood Boulevard, and I'd do a show, and I'd have my notes on stage. I was a mess, dude.
Yeah.
So when I met Dane, and you have to understand, this was a crazy time to meet Dane because it was just happening for him. When I say just happening, I mean Ryan Reynolds. I've done 2 movies with him. He's all right. But Dane, you could tell Ryan was having a big moment too, but Dane was having such a moment that was on the precipice that I just felt like Ryan was who's this guy? Is he going to pass me?
Weren't they, I know I'm probably wrong on this. They weren't in Two Guys in the Pizza Joint together, were they?
No, but I'll never forget this.
I remember there was that whole thing.
Dane says he barely remembers this. He was, I think that happened. I go, oh, I know what happened because I'm watching at the time, Dane's a friend of mine now, but back then, I just looked at him he wasn't even an icon yet, but to me, he was an icon because you have to understand.
He had that album that was earlier that year.
That's what I'm saying. Harmful If Swallowed, his first one before Retaliation, which you're talking about, was such a cult. It was already Tenacious D level.
Yeah.
If you know about this album, you know about this album, and you're in a club. And if you're a college kid, you know who Dane Cook is. Your parents don't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
Not every agent in town knows him, but most people are starting to go, this guy's funny.
Yeah.
And Dane, I remember when we were on his last day and he was rapping, Ryan came over and goes, hey, I heard you got a pilot. Because Dane had announced that day on set that he got a pilot for the WB called Cooked. And he goes, if you ever need me to do a guestie, let me know. I remember him saying that. And Dane goes, he said that? Oh, yeah. He goes, I must have been just nervous as he said bye to me because I kind of would have tipped him up on that. I go, but Dane, wasn't the show not picked up? He's like, oh yeah, you're right. It wasn't picked up. So I'm like, he's like, no, but even if it was picked up, I don't remember him saying that. So I wouldn't have known that I had that as an option to do.
Well, I just remember in those early 2000s around that time as Dane's getting popular and Ryan is already kind of, he's got those 2 hits under his belt. He's got Van Wilder and he's got Waiting, that there was a comparison going around about because they are similar looking.
Yeah.
They are similar in their comedic timing and the way that they approach comedy. At least
I think Dane was supposed to pass. He was supposed to pass him. Look, it's I think that's the best way to say it. I don't think Dane would disagree with this, but Dane was never supposed to go south the way that he went south for a while.
Yeah.
He's fine now. And Ryan Reynolds was not supposed to turn into an action star. Like neither one of these things could you have seen coming.
No, Ryan Reynolds.
And if you say you could have, you're full of shit.
Ryan Reynolds did the smart thing where he started working out. He's always gonna be funny.
Yeah.
But he had the swimmer's frame, and you put muscle on that really easily, and you just look like $1 million now on camera. And I think like Blade Trinity, which was a bad movie, but that was kind of the one where people go, "Oh, that's believable."
But still, there's a lot of comedic actors that get their Blade Trinity, and it just doesn't happen again after that. You could find a role that Joe Piscopo played where, like, it's like, whoa, he was kind of in an action thriller. Like everybody, like even like
Jay Leno and the Pat
or
Moreno
like
cop
Eddie
movie.
Murphy and Metro. Or like they all get like their shot at like this little thing, and it doesn't always happen. Ryan Reynolds like had no business. I mean, look, he's awesome, but like it just no one saw that coming. And at the same time, as Dane was the rocket ship that he was, no one saw the haterade that was about to get poured on him.
Yeah, and
on set, it was fun because I was never a cook, but I always hung out with the cooks. I loved the cooks,
right.
And there was this chubby, overweight Hispanic cook at Damon's Place for Ribs. Named I don't remember his name. That's sad, but it's a long time ago. Did a lot of drugs since then. And thank you, ecstasy, for the hole in my brain. I'd be scared to fucking see. I feel like I would have like an Antarctic fucking like disaster right here.
It's just like Swiss cheese up there.
Yeah. If that. And so I on set, like since I was a cook, you know, I got to like, you know, kind of draw on all the cooks I worked with and think about that. And, you know, I'm not trying to act like, you know, Rob McKittrick, the director, was like some Wes Anderson saying, no, it's got to be this pin, a 1947 pin. Like, he wasn't like that by any means, but at the same time, he really did want everything. He's like, listen, all my friends from all the restaurants I've worked at are going to watch this. So like, it does need to, whatever you do, it's got to feel like it's in the wheelhouse. Yeah. I don't want people going, that's not what cooks do. They don't even chop like that. Like, so we didn't go to school or anything. I'm not trying to act like we like went to some military training camp for Jarhead.
Some attention to detail.
Yeah, we were trying to make it real, and that was coming. I think it comes across. I mean, Louis Guzman seems like a head chef at a restaurant.
Oh yeah,
1,000%.
I, you know, knowing that I was going to have you on, about a month or so ago, I rewatched it, and to be honest, I hadn't really watched it
in a long time.
In like most of my career within restaurants, like I remember watching it when it came out. And I remember watching it several times after it came out, like on DVD.
Yeah.
But I don't think when at least in the past 10 years, when I was really doubling down and tripling down within this industry, watching it, now watching it with restaurant eyes, that movie is 1,000% accurate.
Yeah. And that's what people say the most. When I go perform, like, so I don't only perform at clubs and theaters. You know, there's a restaurant that'll have like an entertainment budget, and I get hired here and there at a restaurant. And when I do, the restaurant people love to come up to me and just go, dude, that movie, like when I heard you were coming, oh my God, I love that fucking people. Waiters love that movie.
Yeah. I remember telling you this a little while ago after I just watched it. The way Alana plays a server where she's cursing everyone the fuck out back at the house, including her table, and all her coworkers, and then walks up those stairs, and as soon as she hits the floor, she's got a smile on her face, is probably the most accurate thing I've seen in a film.
Yeah,
ever.
I mean, Alana is so good in that movie. Yeah. I would say she's, you know, arguably, when I talk to people, their favorite two people in the movies for females is Alana, for males probably be Louis Guzman. Yeah. Like,
I think honestly, I think that, you know, not to nitpick or anything, I think she's at like 1,000%. Like, she's dialed to 11, and most of us in the industry are like right around 8 or 9 in the way that we are overreacting to stuff. And I obviously she's doing it for comedic purposes. Yeah, but it's you know,
she's always been like that though. And like, you know, I mean, I was with Alana, as you know, a long time. Like, we dated like 3-4 years, but you know, she's one of those actors that like people bring her in for a different tone than the movie. Like Ben Foster. Not always her fault. I guess what I'm saying is, which one did you say?
Like Ben Foster. Like Ben Foster gets brought in to be that.
Alana, at least for when I haven't seen a lot of her recent work, but like back in the day, I saw everything because of, you know.
She's on something now, and she's been killing it. I just forget.
It's some female show. I know what you're talking about. But she's like she got Meet the Fockers when we were together. Mm-hmm. And when she did Meet the Fockers, like I mean, her part is kind of a different tone than the movie. It wasn't really her fault though, because I was on set a couple times, or at least just one day, and like that's what she was being told to do. It was a very silly, over the top character. It's like, you know, when you want that character, you bring her in. She's really good at that.
She kills it.
But in that movie, her improvs, you know, Rob would let people improv, and like the people that killed their improvs the most are Louis, Alana, Justin, and one of the great masters, David Keckner.
Yeah.
I mean, that manager is, I mean, God, how many times have you worked for a corporate restaurant manager? Like, that is the manager of Chili's, Applebee's, Fridays, all of them, Outback.
So, like, fun fact for everyone at home.
And David's a great guy.
He's one of my favorites. As a manager, we were hanging out at the host stand a lot because, one, I hung out it because I could see the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, there's not a lot for you to do every minute of every
right.
day. So you are bullshitting with the host that's there. But what I love about it is how he turns it into what would have been the case back in the early 2000s of like 30-year-old, 40-year-old manager hitting on teenage hostess. Like, I know, I'm hanging out for different reasons, but it is that was also a very true thing. They are always at that host stand because it is usually the best ice in the whole.
But restaurant. I also do love how he's like, when he calls Justin and talks about his future, he's like, you need to really think about your future and what you're doing. He's like, because like, he's like, oh, well, I want to go to college.
I have a great life.
He's like, I have a great life. You could work, you could do what I do. Like, I want to train you to be. And then at the end, he's like, we should hang out more. Yeah. And he's like, whoa, the fuck? Yeah. Which is so funny because that's how you know he's playing a part.
Yeah.
If David Keckner asks you to hang out with him,
you're gonna hang out.
You drop it. He's so fun. He's so quick and he's so real. And I'd love to tell this quick story about David Keckner, just because Me Too and stuff makes me want to tell this. Did
he touch you inappropriately?
He did. Yeah,
it's a safe place so you can come out.
He kecked me. That's what he referred. He's like, you got kicked. So no, what happened was, I'll tell this anonymously. There was a producer. What's great about that is there were literally like 19 producers. So you don't know who I'm talking about. I don't even know if this guy's still in the business, so I guess I don't really care. He had a newborn, and he was going around showing pictures of his newborn to everybody that would listen, and showing photos of his wife holding this beautiful baby. And he's like, even though I'm producer on this, I'm only going to be here like 2 weeks. Like, I know you guys going to be shooting for like a couple months, but like, got to get back to the baby. And like, everyone's like, wow, what a great guy. Yeah. Family man. And then he starts hitting on a certain actress in the movie who was underage at the time. Mm-hmm. Suppose that probably gives away who it is, but maybe there's a couple underage people. I don't know. And Keckner heard about this. And Keckner is a father of 4 or 5 kids. Mm-hmm. I think 5. And he has a set of twins too, like me. And he was pissed, but he handled it right. Yeah. He didn't scream. He threw like a mild talent fit. Yeah. Like meaning like he decided to, like, a talent is allowed to sometimes go, you know what? This fucking light is too hot. You can't be here. And then people got to move it because, he didn't do one of those. He did like you in front of everybody. You should be ashamed of yourself. And he gave a speech in front of the whole crew about how he can't believe that he's asking her what she's doing tonight. And like it was, I was so impressed because at that point I had already seen some pretty shady things in Hollywood as an extra. Because an extra, you see the true side of people because you're not a person in front of people when you're an extra. You're a busboy, dude. You're like, who is this guy? Who is this servant, if you will? And so I'd already seen some shit because people aren't afraid to show it in front of extras. And I'd seen some people, getting their SAG vouchers for some blowjobs. I saw some shit. But, me, and by saw, I meaning like a dick was in my mouth and I needed it to get in the union. But no, I mean, there you go. I saw him do that and I thought that was cool.
Yeah. He just seems like, and then the best is he probably saw, like, I've seen this a few times where like people will take the real life incident and then use that as their line, where it seems like that's, he's asking, I'm assuming who we're talking about, one of the underage girls, maybe not the underage girl. Like,
wait, what are you saying?
Well, I just like when people take like the real world. All right, so I'll tell this story. I haven't told the story yet. My cousin is
Vinny.
My cousin Vinny. My cousin, when on the set of The Negotiator, I'll just leave it at that for right now, he got hit on by Kevin Spacey because when Kevin Spacey...
By the way, throw a dart in this room, everybody got hit on by Kevin Spacey.
So the thing is that, like, it was a shock to, I guess, some of America that Kevin Spacey was gay and was predatory.
Not to L.A.
Not to L.A.
No.
And I've known it since The Negotiator because my cousin wrote The Negotiator.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
What else has he written?
So
By the way, how sex is that? I just right away said he.
Yeah.
Assumed it must have been a male that wrote it.
Yeah, if you knew the movie, you knew
it's an. By the way, not a lot of action movies written by chicks. I think I got that one.
So he also
watch. I'm gonna get canceled. Maybe there's like 5,000 of them. Ever seen a little movie called The Terminator? I'm like, whoops, sorry.
He's also responsible for the Purge franchise. He wrote and created.
Oh damn! So he's doing okay.
The Purge. Yeah, he's fine. Can't call me when he comes to fucking LA, and I'll say that my family knows. I don't understand.
Eric,
why he
he's
can't
not
pick up his
gonna
fucking phone. So, anyways, he got hit on by Kevin Spacey, and then he said something along the lines like, "You got the wrong idea about me. I'm not into that," and then shoot him away. And then I always forget what the line is, but then I remember when American Beauty came out, that Kevin Spacey said almost the identical line that my cousin, and I'm sure that Kevin Spacey has heard 1,000.
I'm sure he's heard that line a few times.
So I just made me laugh that he took that scenario.
But he goes like this: Kevin Spacey's. Every actor has a bag of tricks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Tom Hanks does not blink. Like watch his movies, he doesn't blink.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey. Now that I think about it, he likes to go, oh, like he does. Oh, so I think he goes, oh, you have the wrong idea. Like, but he also says that in 7 when he goes, oh, he didn't know. You know what I mean about the head of the or the pregnancy. Oh, dude, he likes to do. Oh, I'm gonna find out if someone's made a Kevin Spacey. Oh, just like Owen Wilson always says, yeah. Wow, yeah. That's funny shit, dude.
All right, so we got to wrap it up because I know you're busy and you got the kids coming back home. So real quick before we go, talk about the podcast that we're in this awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited because for a long time, my two loves have always been comedy and charity. Mm-hmm. I found a way to combine them by doing a number of benefits at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, the Hollywood Improv, stuff like that. Raising funds for causes I care about while also having like great fun, off the charts, A-list lineup comedy shows. You know what I mean? And so there's a poster right there. That's a Comedy Rocks we did. Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, Krista Leah, Jeremy Piven, Eric Griffin, Tony Rock. A bunch of no names. So there's one up there.
One on that.
Here's one up here. Krista Leah, Whitney Cummings, Tig Notaro, Natasha Leggero, Garfunkel and Oates, Steve-O, hosted by Laura Dern. I'd say early on for me, when I first started to get this sort of idea of like being an entertainer, but also giving back would be the Beastie Boys. And that's why they're right there. Watching MCA, I like watching stars grow up in front of us if they are allowed to grow up in front of us. Right. Meaning I feel bad for Justin Bieber. It's like, here's a guy that like, how the fuck would you be if you went from street performer to what he went to at that young of an age? Yeah. Like, go fuck yourself if you think you could do any better.
Your angsty teenage years.
Forget about it.
Shits on you for being an asshole.
Forget about it. I'm glad he found God, and I'm glad he's where he's at. And honestly, like, Justin's recent songs, I mean, that new one they did with Quavo this year, Intentions, great fucking song. And so, but MCA, the Beastie Boys, when you listen to their first couple albums, bro, they were never like, let's not go ahead and call them nasty or like they weren't NWA or Two Live Crew, but it was about drinking and smoking and girls, literally girls, And so, it wasn't like, I guess what I'm saying is it just wasn't mature, right? But it was fun as fuck, right? And then all of a sudden, Check Your Head is still, pretty, party, and so is Paul's Boutique. But, about ill communication on when like MCA managed to get that line, I want to say a little something that's long overdue. The disrespect of women has got to be that whole thing. Like to all my mothers and my sisters and my wives and friends, I want to offer love and respect till the end. Yeah. That was a mic drop moment in hip hop where it's like, did he just stand up for women in a rap song? Yeah. So MCA like started to grow up and like got really into the Tibetan culture and saving
They started the Save Tibet or
Tibetan Freedom Concert, that one, which I went to in Washington D.C. 1998. Did you go to that too?
Did not.
Oh man, it was great. A chick got struck by lightning at that.
I remember.
Yeah, I was very close to her. It was very scary. Watching him lean into that was really cool because he didn't lose who he was. And that's one of the things I want to do on this podcast is like, I want to talk the way I talk. Yep. I just want to be funny. I don't care if I say offensive things because I'm joking. Yeah. But where I am at in my heart is I know where I'm at in my heart. So watch my actions. So my actions is the charity work I do. My mouth is just fucking running because I'm a jackass with trauma.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to live that life. Like I get tired of like, oh, what kind of show is this? Like, oh, it's Extreme Home Makeover. And so the second you watch a show like Extreme Home Makeover, it's a great cause, it's a great reason, and you're flooded with tears. But the way we talk as humans isn't represented on shows like that.
Right. So they say the host or the creator all of a sudden, is stuck at a party doing a bunch of lines. That show's canceled because it's not the wholesome image.
It always opens like, welcome to Extreme Home Makeover. Yeah. Today we're helping out. It's like no one talks like that.
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
Yeah,
but then I also don't like when you watch Jackass and stuff like that. Like you also never really hear much about who they are. You hear who they are as brothers and camaraderie, but where are they at? Like, what do they believe in? What do they think?
That's kind of I like what Steve-O's been doing, but we can get into.
Well, Steve-O's he is leaning into a different culture now. With being sober has really helped him do that, and he's a good friend of mine. And but like for me, it's like I want like the Beastie Boys, even though he got serious and they started doing Tibetan Freedom Concert, they were still silly, dude.
Yeah,
they like their music videos for Hello Nasty album are incredible. You know what I mean? Sabotage and wait, Sabotage was on Hello Nasty.
That was Ill Communication.
Sorry. But there's still great music videos on Hello Nasty as well. Yeah. And he got sick, so we'll never know what he would have done in later years. And May 4th, 2011 is one of the worst days of my life when he died. It was one of the first times I felt, oh wow, we're really mortal. Like a Beastie Boy died. Yeah. It must have been like.
No, I remember talking to you about it.
My parents may not get this, but it might be like when a Beatle died.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, we lost our first Beatle. That to me, the Beastie Boys, I don't care if I get in trouble with this. They're like the Beatles for 90s kids because they brought so many people. They may not be as internationally famous, but fuck, dude, they did something no one else had done before. Beatles. Mm-hmm. They were a group of guys that were great friends that also had differences. Beatles. Mm-hmm. They,
evolved
over time, went through a ton of shit, lost, wives, girlfriends, members. Like they're Beatle-esque for me. You know what I mean? So they really gave me this push in life. And then I started getting into Paul Newman. The year Nobody's Fool came out, 93, 4, whatever. I just started getting into Paul Newman a lot. My dad showed me Cool Hand Luke. My dad showed me The Sting. And I just started getting into him, and then seeing that he had that Newman's own line of just popcorn and spaghetti sauce, and then all went to charity. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get up there and do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be Jeff Bezos and make $74 million during the pandemic. I mean, again, this is a huge sidebar, but if you're making $74 million, billion. I can't believe I'm saying that wrong. Billion in a pandemic. What? Like, I can't even believe this needs to be said. Where's the announcement where you go? I mean, like, first of all, I'd give away more than half of that if I made that.
That's why I like
watching everybody right now. I'd give. You can hold my feet to the flame if I'm never not this way, because I'm saying it on record right now. If I make $74 billion when the whole world is down on the ground, I'm giving away 60 of that, and I'm keeping 14. Yeah. Mark my fucking words.
Well, that's why I like Bill Gates. I don't understand why he gets all this fucking hate, because he's actually a good billionaire. He's 80% of his money has been given away to charitable causes and research.
I think the problem is there's questions about. There seems to listen. I'm not some guy I don't think Tom Hanks is a pedophile. I'm not QAnon, but like there seems to be some questions about whether or not there was a cover-up with how many people actually died from an attempted vaccination that he was involved in. I think that's where the biggest question lies.
That's legit.
But also question, did he do it on purpose, or did it happen in the name of trying to help people?
Yeah.
But still, if you cover it up, that also is a negative thing.
That's a negative thing.
But again, I'm not well-versed enough to even know whether...
I'm with you with Bezos. The thing that pisses me off about Bezos is he's not Batman or Lex Luthor. He's just some douchebag doing nothing. Like, either become a fucking supervillain with all that billions of dollars and try to take over the world like Dr. Evil, or...
Well, but I think he is...
Or be Batman.
If you make $74 billion... Listen, if you make $74 billion during a pandemic, a global pandemic, and the biggest story about you is that you made that, and it's not that you gave most of it away, you are a supervillain. I'm sorry, you're a supervillain. But
at the same time, there's no, like...
If one person gets evicted in America, one person gets evicted in America during this, and he made $74 billion, we have a fucking problem on our hands.
Of course we do.
You know what I mean? Right now, there should be a list of people that are like, "Hey, Jeff, do you want to start an eviction fund?"
Well, I wanted to start a Twitter page called Jeff Bezos Ends World Hunger, And then the tweets would be like, today Jeff Bezos didn't end world hunger. And that literally is the tweet every single, and it just says day 1,
That's
day
funny.
2, day 3.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Dude, please start that tonight.
Okay.
No, so that you can like, so people, go, do you already have the handle?
No, but,
check and see if that handle's available.
All right. Well, we got to wrap it up.
Well, hold on. I'll say one last thing before while you look it up.
Sure.
So the Beastie Boys started this movement in me. Paul Newman having a complete charity line of food products and house products really moved me and made me think, wow, like he makes all these things and the money he doesn't even make money off that. Yeah. Like his family does not make money off Newman's Own. So that fucking moved me. But you know what fucking also really hit me in the gut when I was young? Comic relief.
Oh yeah.
Watching Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, and Robin Williams bring all their friends together, Richard Lewis, Bobcat Goldthwait, Paula Poundstone, all the great 80s icons, and bringing them together annually for an HBO event where it's like they raised millions every year. It would go up every year. It was like an absurd amount of money. And I believe, I don't want to miss, was it AIDS or was it
no, it was homelessness.
Homelessness. You're right, homelessness. Yeah. So there's those. And one last thing I'll say, Sean Penn. Sean Penn changed my life. Not just in the way that most people go, oh, why? Because he's a great actor and you're an actor. There's that. Mr. Gribber is a gift. And so is Milk. And so is so many other things. Dead Man Walking.
Sam and I.
No, I Am Sam.
I Am Sam. Yeah,
Sam and I. Like it's the King and I. Dude, someone needs to do a mashup. The King and I done by Sam I Am. What's a song in King and I?
Oh, I don't know. I forget.
And then you just have him talking in his way. Anyway. So
the show's going to be about...
real quick, not only was he like, charitable, not only was he a good actor, but he's a charitable guy. Sean Penn showed up to Hurricane Katrina. There's footage of him, CNN footage of him pulling bodies out of the water, helping people. Right. And so when I went to Coachella 08, back then there was no app on the phone for Coachella. You like picked up a paper, schedule every day. Sorry, millennials, to bum you out, but that's what we did. And so on Sunday it said Sean Penn at like 7:40 p.m. right before Roger Waters, and I was like, Sean Penn. It was a 20-minute set. No one does 20-minute sets at Coachella, and so I go, guys, we got to go watch this. So we show up, and we thought the rumor on the street was, because at the time Sean Penn had made that movie Into the Wild, and Eddie Vedder did the soundtrack. The rumor was it was going to be Eddie Vedder coming out doing like a quick acoustic set, and he called himself Sean Penn as like a surprise moniker. Yeah, wasn't the case. Sean Penn comes out, gives a quick speech saying that this is April 2008. Gives a quick speech just saying like, hey man, now more than ever, like, we got to vote this guy. Well, he not vote him out because he's already done. He did 8 years, but he was saying, we got to, now that Bush is going to be out of here, we got to make sure we get the right guy in. This Obama guy sounds promising. I don't know much about him. Like, this is April, so we all don't really know who Obama is yet. We do, but we don't. And he goes, but revolution is a young man's game. He was, even I'm too old for it. He goes, I need you guys. Right. He goes, I've got 4 biodiesel fueled buses at the back of the festival. He goes, there's 2 tents. He goes, right over there. He pointed to where it was, by the pizza place. He goes, meet me over there. I'm going to get off stage. I'm signing people up. I need enough people to fill 4 buses. He goes, we're going to take 300 people. We're going from here, Indio, all the way to New Orleans. This is right after Katrina. Right. So he's like, we're going to do volunteer work, protests. We're going to feed people. We're going to do, it's just going to be a charitable service trip.
So he wanted to kidnap people from Coachella to go all the way down to New Orleans.
Well, what I loved about it was like, people are on Molly.
It's like a 4 day
Bro,
drive.
I'm on Molly. So I'm just like, not only does that sound like a fun thing to do, wait, go with Sean Penn on a bus and do a bunch of good stuff for people and have that story for the rest of your life. But when you're on Molly and it's in fucking Technicolor, you're like, Sean Penn's my best friend. He's always been my best friend. I didn't know until right now. Sean Penn, he's definitely my favorite actor. He's my best friend for sure. You got more of that stuff? So I ran over there. I'm fucking high as a kite on Molly. Yeah. And I signed up. And sure enough, he was there. You couldn't get to him, but he was there. And I signed up. And I went on this trip that changed my life, Eric. It was like, we stopped, dude, Ben Harper showed up at one of our campsites and he got Ben Harper to just fly into a city. That's crazy. And just play around a campfire, because that's what you do when you're Sean Penn. You just open up your old X and...
Did you continue doing Molly throughout this whole thing?
No, I didn't do Molly. I got stoned and we drank. He drank with us. Dude, we'd go to a restaurant and he'd throw down his fucking black Amex and just say, pay for everybody here. 300 of us would be in a line. And we would just get in line and order, and he'd have a fucking $3,000 food order that he was just paying for. I saw him tip like 50%, like it'd be a $3,000 bill, and he give him $4,500 total. Like he was a fucking man. Like, so when people are like, oh, he's doing it to posture, I'm like, you know what? If he is, he's really going for it. Like he's taking time away from his family. Like at a certain point, you have to go, no, maybe this is just what this fucker does.
Yeah.
You know, and there are people like, yeah, but was he documenting? I'm like, he was documenting it. And like, well, then there you go. I'm like, but do you see he was trying to inspire young people to be he kept talking about the 60s. In the 60s, they inspired each other, or they found this movement together. I'm trying to pass it on to you. I wasn't old enough to be a part of it, but I was a kid watching them. And your generation needs it as bad as we did it, or as there older people than me did it. So please, I'm too old for it now. Come do this thing. And if Sean Penn wants to fucking film that, so fucking be it.
Well,
bro, we went to New Orleans and ripped up. There were waterlogged pews that took us like 2 days to pull out with crowbars, so they could bring in these new. Like we were doing real fucking work there.
That's crazy.
You know,
I definitely want to hear more about it, but I do know that at any minute your twins are going to be running in the house.
Yeah.
And we've been on for over an hour.
All I'm saying is, Sean Penn, Comic Relief, you know, the Beastie Boys and Paul Newman all led me in a direction where I'm like, I'm always going to be a jackass. I'm going to be me. I'm going to talk the way I want. But fucking hell, dude, I'm going to help people along the way. And I'm going to do benefits. I'm going to do surprises. My podcast is going to be about surprising my friends, surprising my guests. You know, if I find out Kevin Nealon has just always wanted to meet, you know, fucking Bob Dylan, Kevin Nealon might be sitting here and Bob Dylan might walk in. Like, I'm going to fucking blow people's minds. I want this door over here to constantly be opening on episodes where you never know what's going to happen. I want it to be kind of like the curtain on Ellen, where you're like, oh my God, who's Ellen bringing out this time? You know? So, although like, I'm probably going to treat no, I'm kidding. But I'm kidding. I don't even know that that's true. I shouldn't say that. I fucking love her. But, you know, so it's called Skylar of Service, because I'm in a program, an anonymous program where the 12th step is about carrying these practicing principles out in the world and, you know, be of service and help people. And I've always been that way before I got sober. But being sober has really amplified that and realized that the only way for me to stay sober is to help people. It's kind of like that line in Jerry Maguire, help me help you. You know, so
it kind of takes the distractions away and allows you to focus on what's really important.
Well, so Skylar of Service, it's going to be a comedy, sobriety, redemption, you know, forgiveness, amends, resentments, surprises, pranks. I mean, it's going to be fucking fun.
And then what was the tagline that you came up with?
There's a couple of them. One of them is what happens when the bad boy wants to do some good. And then another one is laugh, help, forgive. And the third one is just a podcast about a dude staring at his past.
Nice. And also my favorite one was about watch me cancel myself.
Oh yeah, it's Skylar of Service. Skylar Stone is canceling himself. Because I'm going to tell everything. I've done some bad shit, and if you don't want to like me after that, fine. By the way, but if you want to publicly cancel me after I tell myself, I'd like to know everything you ever did first. Give me the whole fucking list.
I also have made this public, and I say public because I tweeted it or made it as a status, but I maintain this. If I ever get any notoriety in life and somebody wants to dig up something from my past, I'm never apologizing for it. Never.
You don't have to.
Because I've never killed anybody.
Look, here's where you have to apologize. If you were big...
If I said something that offended you fucking
if you were big and if it turned out you were like extorting people and cheating on your wife, you're going to have to apologize for that. If someone catches you in the act, there's an apology.
But if it's happened like 20 years ago, I'm over it.
Nope.
So I ain't apologizing for anything I said or did. Because I know that I haven't done anything like horrific.
There's 3 apologies that are owed when you do something wrong. We differ on this because the third person isn't necessarily in your life, but for me, I apologize to myself, the person I did it to, and to God, and then I'm done. I don't. It's between
God's in my life, just not Jesus, because I'm Jewish.
Well,
his father's.
Jesus is the way, so good luck.
Chosen people. I get to go to the front of the line. I got the golden ticket. You all have to be judged for your life. I'm just straight to the VIP area of heaven.
That's
the beauty of being Jewish.
This is a good era for the Jewish people. Yes, not good for the straight white Protestant, Baptist, or Christian male. But
the wasps.
But I'm Episcopalian. We're kind of like the silent majority. Like no one ever goes, it's fucking Episcopalians. Who's the one? It's always Baptists. You hear about
who's the ones with the cross with the flag on it. Those are my favorite.
You have to ask Caleb that one.
It's like Methodist or something. I don't know.
Methodist get some shit. Baptist get some shit. Episcopalians are just kind of like, like fucking...
Just whatever, man.
We're just over...
Episcopalians were the first to hop on marrying gay couples, so good for Episcopalians.
Yeah, we're just kind of, we're like Dabney Coleman. You know what I mean? We're just like, hey, they're just over there. They did what they did, and they're here now. And is he alive?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I know that right now we don't have anything really set up because we're just starting the podcast. So there's no handles and no website and all that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to talk about the guests yet because they're all still getting solidified.
But where can people follow you right now?
Instagram and Twitter are both at the Skyler Stone.
Awesome.
Skyler is Skyler. Awesome. So some people are like, is it AR or ER? It's ER. Like the Clooney show.
Well, I know for a fact that your podcast is going to be wildly entertaining.
Thank you.
And hopefully inspiring.
You're not always an easy audience, so that means a lot coming from you.
It's true.
I've pitched some things to Eric before where I'm like, he's going to love this. He's like, I feel like I've heard it. I'm like, fuck, man. That was a good Eric, though, wasn't it?
That was a pretty good one.
If you want to do at home, if you want to do your Eric, all you got to do is this. First of all, you got to wet the sweat off your face because Eric does not sweat like I do because Eric doesn't have the fucking weight problem I have. If you want to do an Eric, you have to be really tapered down and really glib. So this is Eric talking. Here's what's funny. Even though Eric works in the service industry, you would think that would mean he's like most people that have been waiters or restaurant managers or bartenders, they're overly nice to service industry people because it's like a brother, like we talked about earlier. Like you've been through some shit with them, even though you don't know them. Like it's when they bleed,
I understand their pain.
Yeah, but not with Eric. So you could be out with Eric at Target, let's say, and in Northridge, and you guys could be getting a coffee. And like a normal person, if they're like, okay, cool. So what size would you like? Can I get a venti, please? That's usually what people do, right? We all go into this like nice tone. It's a little up here, a little higher than how we usually talk. Just a little polite tone. Yeah. And then like, we throw in too many please. Like, oh, can I please get a venti, please? Like 2 pleases sometimes, and then like, oh, do you want regular ice or let's make it light. I like it light sometimes. Please, thank you. Please, Anna, thank you, right? That's what people do. And then when they get their drink, especially, they go, thank you so much. Have a good day. And then you walk out and you leave a nice fat tip. Not Eric. Eric just does the tip, all right? He does do the tip. But what Eric does is, they'll be like, hey, what size do you want? He'll be like, venti. You want ice? Yeah. He'll just say, yeah, what am I, a fucking asshole? Like, that's the subtext. And then they'll be like, do you want any stevia? Did I say stevia? No, absolutely not. Just exactly what I said. Just a shot of espresso, please. Thanks. You don't even say please. You just fucking. Oh my god. People have told you this other than me, right?
So when we were,
what do you think that's about?
I just hate everybody. Just equal opportunity. Just don't like people.
Oh fuck.
But that's what happens when you work in the industry for so long. You just grow numb to everything. And like it's like if I have a server, I'm pretty nice to serve, but I'm also just naturally a curt person. I've even had you over for barbecues. You're not rude, but Nicole might say, "You want ketchup?" Like, yeah. I'm just like you're just very. Let's get done. Yeah. I say please and thank you, and
sometimes
I'm very nice to the people who need to be very nice to. I'm very nice.
Ain't that the LA way, huh?
Well, no, it's like
if you're Brian Grazer,
not in that way. I mean, like I'm very nice to like front desk people at like in waiting rooms or in hotels. I'm very nice to like
just not Starbucks employees at Target in Northridge.
Not high school Starbucks. They have to learn somewhere, Skyler. The world is a cruel place.
And why not learn from Eric Cassiopo?
All right. On that note, I was going to plug your show because I know that I'm going to be on it quite a bit.
Skyler Service.
I know that we will get into on one of them the night that this is a teaser for the show. So stay tuned to Skyler's thing. The night that you and I almost got arrested seeing Nine Inch Nails.
Oh my God!
At the Staples Center. I'll leave it there so you guys are in suspense about what could possibly have.
I mean, by the way, you don't have to stop there. You could say I was one of Skyler's final drinking partners before the largest meltdown he ever had that ended him in being in jail with a restraining order.
I was there 2 times in your sobriety quest. We'll talk about all of it.
Yeah,
I was there at beginning one and then in the middle of another one.
Did you shoot the Twilight prank with me?
No, the Twilight prank was Tim.
But you did Occupy Twilight.
I did Occupy Twilight.
And so we could talk about Regal Cinemas and how we're not really welcome there anymore.
Well, the whole LA Live complex, we're not really welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I actually got arrested at LA Live, not with you though that time. So yeah.
Right. So that's it. So guys, this has been a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm sure I'll have you on again at some point. I'll just be on your show a lot. Come out here to Reseda. So if you like the show, please subscribe. First and foremost, I need all the subs I can get, and then like and rate and comment and all that jazz. And only
after you have Googled me, if you don't know who I am, gone to my pages and pressed like on my stuff and bought the movies that have been in on iTunes, so my residuals go up. So after you have supported my career, make sure you check out the podcast that you're actually watching.
So I was going to plug you after the fact, but go follow Skylar. Skylar's a very funny guy, and he's very opinionated in his tweets, and they make me laugh.
Yeah, you're like, I'll just leave it at that.
Just leave it at that. And guys, until next time, I've been Eric. Skylar, thank you.
Yeah. Joker is a bad movie.
You've been watching Corner Memoirs of the Service Industry. We'll see you next time.
Rice does not belong in a burrito.